So welcome everyone. Thanks very much for coming along. I'll introduce myself and Max, and then we'll get started. So I'm Hilary Bell, and I'm working with Croydon Voluntary Action around the Funding Club, which is basically information sharing about funding and support about funding. So we're running lots of different online sessions, but there's also further notes that go with those sessions, and we do have some face-to-face meetings. So all of it's on the CVA website, on the calendar. So do book into any of those events that are useful to you. Yeah, one of the funders that is very kindly given their time to us is Max from Jack Petchy, who will talk through the program and the benefits to you. What I've talked to Max about is the difference between just sharing information and then really helping you get on board, do the paperwork, really make the most of it. I'm here to support you as much as I can, which unfortunately is not many hours in the week, but I'm happy to help. But Max, as Max has said to me, it's his job to do this. So let's make use of him, and let's really start to maximise the support that Jack Petchy can give to young people and your projects in Croydon. Max, would you like to go ahead, and you can share your screen, etc., and we'll go from there.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you, Hilary. And yeah, big thank you just generally for setting this up, organising this, getting everyone together. It really means a lot. It's kind of what we look to do as part of the Jack Petchy Foundation is engage groups working with young people. So it's really great to have the opportunity to be here to speak to all of you guys. And yeah, thank you guys for all being here and coming along, giving up your Wednesday lunchtime to learn a bit more about what we do. Yeah, I'll share my screen in a bit. I'm a grants officer. I work for the Jack Petchy Foundation. Some of you might know who we are already. We're fairly widespread throughout London and Essex, but there might also be people who don't. We're going to cover it all in the presentation, don't worry. But effectively, yeah, we're here to support youth organisations and schools across London and Essex. And so it's great to be in the London Borough of Culture for 2023 in Croydon. And yeah, telling you a bit about who we are, what we do, and how you guys can hopefully be a part of that. So I will share my screen now. Let me know, do shout out if you can't see anything. Even with years of COVID, mistakes do still happen. Right, cool. I'm very happy to take questions at the end, but if you do have them kind of midway through, please hold on to them. There'll be time for that afterwards. And if I haven't answered them by the end of the session, I'll be very happy to do so at the end. Yeah, and this should kind of take about 30 minutes, the presentation in total, maybe a bit less. So there's plenty of time to have a discussion afterwards. This is effectively going to be a introduction to the Achievement Awards scheme, mainly talking about what's in it for you guys, and why I think it's a great program which you guys would really benefit from being involved in. But yeah, I'm also looking to do follow-up sessions to help anyone who's interested in making applications through those applications kind of later on in June. Something I'm sure me and Hilary will talk about once this presentation's done. So yeah, Jack Petchy Foundation Achievement Awards. If you think you can, you can. All right, okay. So I thought it's important to start with a bit of our history. Now, some of you might have guessed already, it all began with a man called Jack Petchy. He is behind it all. He was born in 1925. He's 98 years old today. Still tries to be as involved as possible in the foundation. Obviously, it's a bit limited, limited involvement at this point in time. But I do think it's important to give a bit of background on his story, because this is a foundation which very much is created in his image, and it focuses on his great interests in life. His story is very much one of overcoming setbacks, I think. He was born in, as I've already said, 1925 in East London. He didn't receive much by way of a formal education, but went through to the Royal Navy when he was younger, and he said he learned a lot there. Coming out of the Royal Navy, his ambition was always to be a manager, to be an entrepreneur, and to run and manage successfully his own businesses. But he was repeatedly told and turned away when he left school or left the Navy. He was told that he didn't have what it took to be management material. He didn't have what was required, and that was something that he experienced quite a lot early on. However, where his story has strength is the fact that rather than listening to what people said to him and people told him, he believed in himself, thought he had enough, he did have what it took. And you know, there's quite a sizable gap there in that timeline between being told that in 1948 and setting up the foundation. Within that 50-year period or so, he created a number of growingly successful businesses, which started off as taxis and later became property, and today is one of Britain's most successful entrepreneurs. So his story is very much about someone who has kind of believed in themselves and kind of felt that they had what it took, even though they were maybe not told this by everyone else. There's a quote there from him saying that he wants young people to learn to believe in themselves. That is a very fundamental principle to what he does. And so 1999, he sets up the foundation, the Jack Petchy Foundation, with the view of giving something back to the areas and the places which he has had most involvement in in his life. So yeah, Jack Petchy Foundation. That's our founder, and we exist to inspire and motivate young people, quite simply. Our focus is young people. We are interested in anyone who works with young people, any young people between 11 and 25. I would describe us as a youth-led grant-giving organisation, and our aim is to celebrate, motivate and inspire young people throughout London and Essex, those regions which Jack Petchy himself was involved in his life. Our vision as an organisation is to live in a world where young people feel empowered, they feel inspired to do whatever it is that they want, and that they can make decisions along their life to kind of be the architects of their future. And I think that's important when we think back to Sir Jack Petchy's story himself, where he was turned away and wasn't given that inspiration or that kind of reward. I really feel that he wants to kind of create this foundation so that it kind of gives people who is potentially in his, facing similar situations to him, give him a bit more motivation. The way we look to do this, as I've said, is through grant giving, but that's also majority-wise through a variety of programs and partnerships that we run. So we exist in a lot of schools and are known kind of principally for the Speak Out Challenge, which is quite a big oracy competition. And we're also known for the Achievement Award Scheme, which I'll be talking about further. That is really our flagship program. It was kind of really started the 2000s. It began, it's been running ever since. And that's the thing that we'd like you guys to get involved in if you feel like it'd be something that you're interested in. So yeah, since we were created, we spent over 150 million investing in young people, investing in young people's futures. Brilliant. So the Achievement Award Scheme, as I said, this is our flagship program. Initially started off in schools, and then a few years later, we've started getting it up and running within youth organizations. If I was to describe this program in a nutshell, I would say that this is an opportunity. This is a way for you guys to celebrate the young people in which you work, those that you work with, to reward them and celebrate them for whatever reasons. And it's worth noting that we do give you a lot of flexibility in who you deem to deserve of an achievement award. These awards are really about doing your best, not necessarily being the best. While they do work really well with people who are really high flyers and achieving a lot already, I think where this award scheme is at its most powerful are for those who are working equally as hard, but maybe sometimes fly under the radar. So this is an award scheme really to recognize those people, those young people, and to kind of celebrate them, hopefully, give them encouragement so that they continue to do those amazing things. I should say as well, because we are so interested in youth voice, we also like to see the Achievement Award Scheme as a way for young people to recognize and celebrate each other. We're really very keen on the idea of young people bringing each other up together. And yeah, it's really quite big. We're running in a lot of schools across London and Essex, a lot of youth organisations, nearly 2,000, but we are looking to grow, which is why I'm here today speaking to you guys, hopefully with the view of getting you guys involved in what it is that we do. So yeah, to date, over 200,000 of these achievement awards have been presented, but we've got a lot more to give out, which is, as I said, why we're speaking to you. Brilliant. So for you guys, I think it's important to think about what's in it for you. What do you guys gain from joining the Achievement Award Scheme? Now, I think you gain a lot, and a difficult amount to actually put into a presentation like this. But if I was going to sum it up, I would probably put it down to 3 things. The first thing is the fact that you get to celebrate your young people. Now, everyone here today, I imagine, has some involvement with young people, works with them. If you work for a youth organisation, a youth club, young people are at the heart of everything you do. And so with that in mind, why wouldn't you want the opportunity to go out and celebrate them, to reward those who are trying really hard and kind of deserve to be recognised? This Achievement Award Scheme is a way to do that, to give something back to them. The second principal reason I'd say that groups should get involved and sign up to what we do is because of the funding available, the opportunities we give. Once you are on the Achievement Award Scheme, you will receive regular yearly funding from us, and this can be up to £6,100 per year. We'll go into the specifics of how we decide on that funding, but it's a chance to kind of really receive that amount of money, which can make a big difference in youth organisations. And the third one, I think it's kind of the benefit of this scheme. The thing that's most important is that it is easy. This is a ready-made way to celebrate young people. Often with youth organisations, it's people doing this out of their own, spare time, volunteers putting it together. And so it's sometimes difficult to have capacity to design a way to celebrate young people. This is a ready-made Achievement Award Scheme, which you guys can just take and then fly and go and nominate your young people from there. But even within that, we try to make everything as easy as possible for you guys. As I said, what we try and do is celebrate young people. We can only do that through your help, so we are very much invested in our relationship with you. We want you guys to join the scheme. And so we're going to try and make everything as easy as possible. And that involves reporting back to us and giving you materials and everything like that, as we'll come on to see. So it's those 3 things, I think, which are most important. The main draws to this Achievement Award Scheme: celebrating young people, the funding that comes with it, and hopefully the ease with which it is to get onto the scheme and to run it. So yeah, if we're going to talk specifically about the celebration of young people, I think we should. Every organisation, once you kind of come onto our scheme, you've made an application to us, you will be allocated a certain number of achievement awards per year. Okay, so we've got varying levels of awards which we'd give to each organisation, simply because we work with a variety of different sizes, ranging from schools which have many different young people to smaller youth organisations which sometimes have a lot fewer. We want to make sure that you have enough achievement awards to give out to all the young people who deserve it, but also not too many so that you're just giving them out to everyone. So you'll be allocated a certain number per year, which will be replenished every year. Along with that, you receive materials which are kind of required or needed to present young people with their awards. This includes certificates, pin badges and medallions. As you can see, the people here on the left, they're all very happy because they've got their certificates there. We will send you all of that once you're on the scheme. You don't have to worry about kind of providing that yourself. All you guys need to do is to nominate and select your winners. Okay, it's really the fun part that you guys get to do. We'll take care of all the admin, of all the materials. You guys just need to think about who deserves to be recognized and why. And those reasons, I think I mentioned earlier, are very much down to you guys. You guys are going to know better than anyone. You know your young people better than we do, of course. So you're going to know what constitutes as an achievement. But really, it could be for you know, someone who's gone out of their way to help others, someone who's a really great role model or a smiley face within your organization, someone who's coped with adversity, maybe, you know, had some difficult times, some difficult moments, but has managed to find a way around that. Or maybe even just someone who's kind of really gone out of their way to try hard. Effectively, you guys are going to be the ones deciding that. We're just going to provide you with the means to do so. Yeah, so as I mentioned already, this is what all the winners receive. You get your certificates on the left here, signed from Jack Petchy. You get a pin badge, which young people can kind of put on their bags or put on their school uniforms. Congratulations letter, of course. Notes from Sir Jack Petchy, where he spreads a bit of his wisdom, in case you young people are interested in that. You also get medallions and an invitation to our celebration evenings, which I'll talk about now. Now, these are presentations that we hold every year, and every achievement award winner will be invited to them. And these are really, really great events, really fun, where, you know, we basically try and celebrate the young people as much as possible. They come up on stage, they have their citations read out in front of everyone, bringing their friends and family along. You know, we often have about, I think it's an average of about 300 people there at each of these events. So they're kind of quite significant crowds, everyone kind of cheering people on. We hear the citations, they're read out. Young people get their picture taken with VIPs. We have entertainment from different performances, often youth organisations as well. They're fantastic events and a real draw of this scheme. And so anyone who's admitted onto this Achievement Award scheme will be invited to them and will be able to attend each year. Right, so yeah, that's the celebration of young people. Even though we could probably go on, that's a brief summary of how that allows. And now we're going to talk specifically about the funding involved. So I mentioned earlier that every group gets given an allocation of awards. With every award, you will also receive a £300 grant. Okay, so for every award that you receive across the year, you also get £300. Now, this is to be spent in a way which benefits your organisation and all the young people within it. So we've got a variety of reasons or ways for you to spend it, and similarly to the decision on how the achievement awards are allocated, you and the young person awarded gets to decide on what that is. We do want to see the young person involvement in how their £300 grant is used, but you can also, you know, come into that and decide on what that could be. With, you know, funding from the Achievement Awards and the additional opportunities that I'll talk about in the next slide, groups can receive up to £6,100 each year. And that is something which replenishes every year, as I said. So long as you're enjoying yourselves on the scheme and feel like it's something that the young people are benefiting from and your organisation as well, that is a figure that will kind of continue each year. It should be said as well, though, that £300 grant, the way we use our money is that it cannot be spent on core costs. It cannot be spent on staff salaries, for instance, or for venue hire, but it can be spent on really the additional things, something that you wouldn't have the opportunity to do otherwise. And that's important because it's linked to the person who's won the award, so they can kind of take ownership for the way that money's spent. For instance, if you need equipment in a youth organization, so I don't know if that would mean football or kind of other sport equipment, or, you know, table tennis or snooker, whatever it is, you know, even a new sofa, that's something you could spend it on. You can spend it on opportunities. This could be, you know, a chance for someone to come in and deliver a masterclass, opportunities for young people to receive training, that kind of thing as well. Trips, we love trips. We know young people love trips, reward trips in particular. So a chance to kind of go to the cinema, all the young people with their friends, go to a restaurant, whatever it is. Often, you know, we do see a lot of people going to Nando's. I feel like Jack Petchy's been one of the biggest founders of contributors towards Nando's for a little while now. But, you know, that's a fantastic thing, a social occasion for them, a chance that many young people often don't get, to go out and have a meal with their friends. I think that's a very valuable thing to do. And also, whatever projects you guys might have, you know, this can be fundraising opportunities or celebration evenings that you guys are having. Money can go towards that. So yeah, I mentioned that there are additional funding opportunities, and there certainly are. While, I mean, I've described the Achievement Awards, you receive funding from being on the program anyway, as we've seen, but it works almost as a platform into additional funding in a way. So you get onto the Achievement Awards, you will receive guaranteed funding from that, but then you'll also have the opportunity to apply for additional things from there. Main things each year, and the other opportunities we offer are for leader awards. So this is, as much as we want to recognize the young person, the young people and their contribution, we also think it's important to recognize you guys, the adults involved in organization, who are giving up their own time, who are really involved, members of staff, volunteers. You just need to be over 21 and have been involved in the organization for a year. But we think it's important to recognize that you guys are really going out of your way to support the young people as well. From that leader award that you receive, you can then also apply for a leader award grant. And this is where we'd fund up to £1,000 for a project that benefits young people. Can be in a similar manner to the spends that we've mentioned with the Achievement Awards, though obviously you have a bit more money to play with, and so kind of a broader scope for those projects. And we're also, as I said already, we're very keen on those trips. Educational Visit Grant is all about trips. I appreciate that this is something which was maybe designed more with a view towards schools and fitting their curriculum, but that does not mean that you guys can't benefit from it yourselves. We will fund up to £1,200 for trips which have clear educational purposes. So long as when you submit that application to us, you're able to kind of give a clear educational reason or value that the young people will get, we'll be very happy to support those trips. So those are like the three main ones that you're guaranteed to receive every year. But for schemes and groups that have been on our organisation for a long time, been on the Achievement Awards for a long time, we really value the relationship there, and we look to reward these. So at the end of last year, we did a recognition grant, which was up to £1,500 for young people, for organisations who've been on our scheme, running it well for a long period of time. We also do a number of one-off grants. I think coming out of COVID, we did a COVID recovery fund, which is where we funded organisations which were struggling to kind of start up again in light of what had happened. So these are like the things that you're guaranteed, but the longer you're with us, the better that relationship becomes. There will be additional things and ways of receiving funding from us. And yeah, as I said as well, hopefully this is all very easy. Hopefully this is all very straightforward. And if it's not, we are going to do everything we can to make it easy, to do everything for you. Hilary mentioned at the beginning, it is my job to help you guys, to get you guys onto the scheme, to get you up and running. We want to work with you. We can't do what we want to do without your help. I've already mentioned that this is a ready-made way of celebrating young people. You receive everything, the funding, the materials, you just kind of make it work in your organizations. We do have reporting, we have to have reporting deadlines. We have 2 of those per year, but this is very light touch. Okay, so we really try and make it as straightforward for you as possible. Within these reports, we just want to know who's won, the reasons why, and how you've used the money. Obviously, we need details within that, but we're very aware that these can be really quite straightforward, quite easy grant reports. Sorry, and I think where the scheme is at its most easy to use, and one of its strengths is really the fact that you only need to make one application to join the Achievement Award scheme. You get onto the scheme, and that process itself can be a little bit of work, which will help you through. But once you are on the Achievement Award scheme, so long as you're reporting back to us, so long as it's working for you and your young people, you can stay on as long as you possibly want. Okay, we genuinely have groups who have been on since 2005, so receiving thousands of pounds from us every year for what's coming up to 2 decades. Reason we do that is because we value our relationship with you, because we want to work with you so much, and so we really want to keep you there, and we try and make it as easy as possible. Fantastic. I would just kind of mention a little bit now about the types of organisations that we work with and a little bit about the application process itself. So our eligibility criteria is as follows. We only work with registered charities or not-for-profit organisations. Okay, so you cannot be a profit-making group. You need to be based in London or Essex, and within that I mean your headquarters. So if you're a youth club, your youth club itself needs to be based in London or Essex. That is a fundamental. We need you to have been operating for at least 1 year. As we're going to see, we need some documentation from you. We need to ensure that you're financially stable. And by doing that, we ask for your accounts. So we need to have at least 1 year of operation. This is an award scheme which isn't so much involved in helping organisations off the ground. It's one to do once you have been established as an organisation. We'd expect a young person attendance of at least 12 on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. So we want you to be working with at least 12 young people from 11 to 25 each week. And you cannot be a group established to promote a specific political or religious belief. We are a secular organisation, and we believe to value that when we look at the groups we work with. That being said, we do have a number of religious groups by name who do work with us. And the reason they're able to do that is because they will often run youth clubs which aren't religious, which are just kind of for the benefit of communities. That kind of thing would be fine. We just would want to make sure that they are as inclusive as possible. So in a very quick six-step kind of bullet point thing, this is the application process. Hopefully after this presentation, you're all going to go away and spend your Wednesday evening making an application. It should only take about an hour or so, I think. Within that application, you're asked to submit some documents, which we'll come on to, but you're also asked to answer a few questions owing to what you think what your organisation is, what your structure is, how you guys work and operate, but most importantly, why you want to be on the scheme and what you think the value will be. We'll then, so long as all the documents are fine, we've checked all your references and we're happy with your answers, we'll invite you to do a coordinator training session. These are online sessions of about 30 minutes where we run through the specifics of the Achievement Award scheme, the things that I've left out this time round. Don't want to bog you down in the details. We'll go into that in the coordinator training so that you're kind of very well prepared for when we get that approval. Following on from that, we ask to come and see you guys. We want to kind of get a better understanding of meeting you guys, what you guys do, and asking more questions, any follow-up questions. I think that's a real strength because there are a number of times where I've got received applications from groups which are fine, which are good, but then I go to see the work of the group itself and I think, wow, you guys have really sold yourself short actually, because you're doing so much more than was written in your application. So I think that's a really valuable part of that. And then every group that we want to get onto the Achievement Awards has to be admitted on by our Board of Trustees who meet once every month. So I would then, having visited you guys, I'd submit an application to our Board of Trustees and 9 times out of 10, that application is successful. Yeah, so that can seem like a lot and I hope you're not thinking, oh Max, you told us it was going to be easy and now you're giving us these 6 steps. It is easy, genuinely is. I think maybe just the first and second point are like the ones which can take a bit of time. As I've said, we will be here to guide you through those. Anything we'll ask specifically for the things that we need for you to confirm, reference-wise and application-wise as well. All of your grants officers, we're here, we're on call for you guys. So if there is anything, do just give us a ring, get in touch. And then all the other steps are fairly straightforward. It can take a little while, partly because, our board only meets at the end of each month. But I'd say it's an average of 2 to 3 months to get groups onto the scheme. And then once you're on, as I've said already, you're on for as long as you want to be. Briefly touch on the documentation that you need. We want to see your latest signed and approved accounts, which is why you need to have been operating for at least a year. We'd also like to see your constitution, so your memorandum and articles of association, to get a kind of a greater sense of how your organisation runs and what it is you are setting out to do. Obviously, you need to see safeguarding policies, public liability insurance, and we need to make sure you have a bank statement, so a bank account. So we need a statement, sorry, from within the last 3 months or so. In addition, we need to do a reference check. And this would need to be someone who knows your organisation on a professional basis, and also someone who knows it on a more personal one. So that can be someone whose child might attend, or who can be involved on a voluntary basis. So those are the things we'll ask for along with those questions in that application. Yeah, once you're up and running, I mean, this is just a kind of a overview thing that maybe we can talk about more once you've made your applications. But, you know, in terms of admin, there is work within this, but we do try and take care of all of the admin ourselves as much as we can. You just need to look out for the fact that there are 2 report periods, and we ask for those light touch reports following on from that. We need to know about any changes of bank details, and obviously if the coordinator, the person running the scheme, changes, that's something we need to look out for. We do also run review visits. This is where we come to see you guys. We try and do this every 2 or 3 years, get out and kind of see any updates, and hopefully see what the impact of the awards has been since that initial assessment visit. We'll also kind of look to check receipts there, so do hold on to them. My advice for all coordinators would be to keep an Excel spreadsheet, a list of your nominations and your winners, and the reasons why and how the money was spent. I was in a school on Monday, and they've got one which kind of went back to 2010, so it's like a real kind of history of the awards. And I think for you guys, that's going to make, you know, having it all in one document makes things a lot easier. But generally, as I've said, we try not to burden you too much. We try to make sure you guys can focus on just the running of the award scheme and the supporting of the young people. Brilliant. Cool. So apply to the scheme today. I mean, there is a QR code there. I've never seen anyone actually kind of take out their phone and do that, but you know, be my guest to do that now. If not, just head to our website, jackpetchyfoundation.org.uk. It should be fairly straightforward to kind of find a way to apply there. You can also just find out about all the other projects that we're doing across London and Essex on that website there. And yeah, please do get in touch with me. That's my email there. And that's the phone number to call if you do have any follow-up questions. Yeah, as I mentioned at the beginning, you know, I'd also be very happy to block out some time in June so that we can kind of do some one-to-one work on your application or anything that you're finding hard. But that is that, and I'll be very happy to take any questions now. If there are any.
Just seeing if there's any hands. If not, I have a few. So I was just thinking there, I was thinking about sports organisations.
Yeah.
Actually, you showed pictures of lots of sports organisations. So, but just in terms of that structure, if they're registered as a sports club rather than a charity.
Absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. Yeah. We're keen to work with those groups as much as possible.
And is there anything around in that situation where people are paying to be part of that club? So if young people are actually having to pay to attend something, does that make a difference?
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. I mean, so long as it is not a profit-making organisation, that's really the main thing. We don't want to work with organisations who are looking to make funds, raise funds from it. But you know, of course, clubs have to have their own income so they can keep themselves running over. So yeah, that's not an issue at all.
Okay. What was the other one I was looking at? Just jumping back to the educational visits again, thinking about sports, because you talked about that being educational. Could that involve a sports element to that education?
Yeah, it can. I mean, so as I said, it was kind of a scheme which was initially set up just for schools, you know, to kind of allow you know, young people to go out and do things which link to their criteria. But I think it works well in youth organisations and particularly in sports ones as well. That can really be any. So you think about a cricket club, for instance, that can be tickets to a cricket match. It can be a stadium tour. It really, there's a lot I think that you can actually do within that educational visit grant and to get people out and about. Really kind of thing is you just need to kind of really emphasize those educational benefits that they'll have. But yeah.
Yes. Sorry, my mind goes to sports because I've got two young boys who are just sports obsessed. So that's like my sort of activity basis. But as you're talking, I'm thinking there about all the different arts groups, etc. Going up to see a show in London, all of that. Really
Museums, art things, absolutely, theatre stuff. We're quite wary of is sometimes when they kind of cross into reward trips. So obviously you can take it out to restaurants, so that's more for an achievement award scheme. But staying on sports for a little bit, I was with a swimming club that we support, and so one of their things that they wanted to use an educational visit grant for was to kind of hire a coach to go to a gala, because this is like a competitive thing. And I thought that would be absolutely fine. That's an educational experience for the swimmers, gives them a chance to kind of compete together. And there's also social benefits of everyone traveling there together. So yeah, we can be quite flexible with these educational visit grants as well.
Practicalities, do you get prompted to make nominations so that you make sure that you've done them each year? Is that sort of something that pops up saying, by the way, you've still got 2 awards for this year, please nominate?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I didn't really go into the detail of the kind of grant periods, because I think that's something which is probably more important to think about later, but you get given a set amount of awards at the start of which and at the end of which we want to know how they've been used effectively. Throughout that grant period, you will be told, 3 months to go, hope it's going well, or the report actually opens, I think it's a couple months before the deadline as well. So you'll be told that the report's open there. It should be something, we try to really stay in touch and make sure that groups are aware of that approaching deadline, particularly the new ones. Obviously the ones that have kind of been running for a long time, a really good awareness of when those dates are going to be. So they're kind of happy to work towards them. But yeah, so particularly for the new ones, we'll always kind of send out additional communication to them, making sure that everything's working okay and they know when those deadlines are coming up.
Yes, and I suppose it's about thinking how that works in your organisation, who's got responsibility for that. I like the idea of it being something that one of your supporters, maybe somebody who's volunteering with you, is quite a nice package in itself. Right, you are now in charge of making sure that we do these nominations. This is what you have to do. It's your role to coordinate with the leaders to make sure you've got the names for that. And such a purposeful role as well, because once those nominations are in and secured, those young people are getting that celebration and the funds are coming into the organisation. If I was volunteering somewhere, I'd love to be part of that. From an admin point of view, that's something I would be pleased that I was spending my time on, because I know I can see the impact of it. So just, for everyone who's thinking, I want to be part of this, I want to fill in that application, also beginning to think about how will that work, who will do that with me. I think there's, it's a really nice role that people could take on for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can agree more. I think on the whole, coordinators who are in charge of running the program really enjoy doing so, because they get the great job of telling the young people that they've done a fantastic thing and that they've received this award. Way I think the Achievement Awards works really well is when you do kind of also spread it out throughout your organisation as much as possible, where you get everyone kind of making nominations for who should deserve it or who's eligible and not. You'll find as coordinators that also makes your life a little easier, because you don't have to chase everyone up. But it also kind of thinks when you get the winners, because everyone knows about it, because everyone's been involved, it's even more special. And yeah, as you said, you kind of really get to see the young person and how happy they are once they've received their award.
Rashi, I'll come to you in a second. I just want to follow up on that point with Max in terms of sort of the benefits, some of the other benefits. So, because I've jotted down here, UCAS forms. Do people find this useful for UCAS? Do young people, is that something they can use to build up their statements on UCAS?
It's an interesting one. You know what? So I was speaking to someone. I think I don't actually know whether it actually has UCAS points now, but it certainly used to have UCAS points. I'll have to double check whether that is the case now. I don't think it is, but I would say that this is quite a recognized award to receive, even though we are just operating in London and Essex. And so it's definitely something which young people have used on their personal statements, you know, when applying to applications for university, or when even kind of just applying for putting on their CVs and stuff. It, particularly in London and Essex, but you know, why, or more widely as well, it is quite well known and quite well recognised.
Yeah, so great for that recognition.
Absolutely.
And then just also for the organisation, I wonder if you've ever had any feedback around other funders often say, are you youth-led? You know, how are your youth involved? And I can see that if young people are making the nominations, if young people are choosing how that funding is spent, that must then help you build a case to demonstrate that your youth, some aspects of your work are really youth-led.
Absolutely. And I actually think so. Yeah, you touched on a fantastic point there, which wasn't involved in the presentation. But I think, you know, for organisations looking to get, you know, a youth consultancy panel, or just looking to increase their youth voice, having something like this awards really helps kind of sharpen that. It gives them a real focus. It's almost like, you know, you've got the student council at schools. They love taking on this because there's an additional bit of responsibility for them. It's absolutely kind of similar things can happen at youth organisations. In fact, a lot of organisations do join onto the scheme to kind of really sharpen their youth focus there.
Brilliant, thank you. Okay, Rashi's got a particular question there about the educational visit grants. Do you have to already be part of the achievement scheme, or is that something you can apply for separately?
Yes, so you would need to already have been on the Achievement Award scheme for that. Okay, so all of those ones that I mentioned, every piece of funding, so the educational visits, but also the Leader Award grants and the additional kind of one-off ones that we sometimes do, they are only for recipients of the Achievement Award scheme, so people who are already on our program. Yeah.
Right. Anything else?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I have a question, please.
Yeah, please go ahead.
All right, thank you very much. I really do appreciate this opportunity, and many thanks, Max, for the presentation. Thank you. I also work for a charitable organization called Longevity Based in Croydon, and in 2021 we actually launched out, and our focus has actually been on helping young people in mental health. We've partnered with South London and mostly NHS Foundation. Last 2 months, we ran quite a number of programs to support young people. And one other area we've actually been doing very well currently is in terms of supporting young people and children's education. So since 2021, we've been running a lot of online, and currently we've actually started in-person educational support, and we've partnered with a number of schools across Croydon. And we are offering free tuition support in maths, in science, English, phonics, and in those areas. And what we've been doing is that with the little funding we've actually had, we've provided children, especially young people from disadvantaged homes or families, laptops to actually support their learning. But what we actually want to do is what your foundation has actually been doing, and I want to find out how we can actually have that kind of partnership. About 4 months ago, there was one particular child who is in a school in Shirley, and the information we got was that because she's been part of our free tuition, there has been a massive improvement in her learning of English and maths, and currently doing very well, the very best student currently in her class. So what we wanted to do was to offer some kind of a gift to just reward her for trying and trying very hard. So we've presented a laptop, and we also got her some few vouchers, and we've also done that for other kids as well. But we want to expand, we want to reach out, because there are a number of young people who have signed up to our online tuition who are improving, and we want to reward these children, but we are limited in terms of funding. And so I want to find out if such a program will tie into or dovetail into what you are doing. Just to add that we are currently partnering also with one Harris School which is also in Clapham, where there are quite a lot of young people who are very challenging and disruptive behavior. And so part of what we want to do is that we want to put in place an award scheme in that particular school where we can reward some of these children who are actually trying. So I want to find out how our vision can tie into what you're doing and see if we can apply for some funding to support what we are doing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it sounds like you guys are doing fantastic work. It sounds like I've not heard of you before, but that really sounds like you're kind of being a very valuable resource and kind of doing really great stuff with young people. And so if it is rewarding and kind of celebrating the young people who are kind of putting in particular effort and really kind of doing very well and putting in hard work, the Achievement Awards would work very well within that, I think. The main things for us that we want to be sure of is that you're kind of operating on a regular basis, and that you've also got a cohort of young people who you're seeing quite regularly. It's important for us that you're kind of working with groups of young people who you're seeing kind of on a weekly basis, who are also kind of, so you can really get that idea of who's making progress, and also kind of that the relationship continues past them being nominated for the Achievement Awards. If that is the case, if you are working with kind of regular groups of young people, and that's not kind of limited, as sometimes it is within programs, the issues we sometimes have with programs is that they can be for 12 weeks and then they never see the young people again. And so that would kind of interfere with the way that we run our program, because we want it to be a sustained relationship with the young people. If this was a thing which people are attending for a number of months, a number of years even, then I think it would work really well. We'd certainly be able to kind of provide a way for you guys to recognise those young people who sound like they really deserve it.
If I may come in terms of the continuity, what we do is that these programs are not run weekly. What we do is that because of the tight schedule of our volunteers, people who work for us are volunteers. I'm actually the founder. I'm currently schooling the law school. I'm also working, and so I just use most of my spare time to do this to help my community. So what we do is that we run these sessions every half-term holidays and long-term holidays. So for example, next week is going to be half-term, so we are meeting. So we have over 100. New ones do come in every now and then. So we have a database of all these children who are registered with us. So every half-term, we bring all of them together, and then there are teachers who do the assessment. And once in a while, they also send out homeworks to them and then just follow up. But every holiday, it's a half-term holiday or it's a long summer. At the moment, we are putting in place a long summer free tuition support that will run throughout from July up to the very end of August, or when they go back in September. So these are some of the things we do. But because we are constrained in terms of manpower, people who have to work for us, and for myself, I'm actually quite very busy with school and other family issues. So every week, this is not happening every week or every month, but we try to engage these young people. And I have contacts of all their families. And so every now and then, sometimes I have to call, just check up and see how these children are faring, and some of the teachers.
If I could just jump in. So it sounds like there's definitely potential there. I guess this is where, and Max, this is what we've touched on in terms of just helping make sure that the organisation fits the criteria and so is able to get involved. Can I suggest that you maybe email Max with details of the programs that you're hoping to run? I can't remember if you've got an active website. I do know. I know we've spoken before, but if you've got stuff on your website, so he could have a preliminary look, and then the two of you could catch up, just to make sure, because there's no point in going through all the paperwork if it doesn't quite match the criteria right now. But it sounds to me that if it's not quite matching the criteria right now, this time next year it could well be, as you're getting more and more consistent with what you're delivering. So, sometimes it's a case of not quite now, but bear this in mind, because Jack Petchy Foundation is not going anywhere. So, at some point, your organisations will hopefully develop to reach that level of consistency. But perhaps just share a bit more information, and then Max can help you decide if it's right for you right now.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, very happy to kind of pick this conversation up. Yeah, send me an email.
Okay, and
so how would I be able to email Max?
Oh, I'm going to share everything at the end of the meeting, and we're also recording this, so we'll be sharing this again so people can tap into that.
Appreciate that. Thank
you.
Sure. Any other questions at this point?
We've got one from
yeah.
one in the chat there. Celestina, work with children 4 to 16 as well as their parents. How will that work? If we want to apply to you, we do not only support. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be only 11 to 25-year-olds. I mean, the people receiving the awards have to be within that age bracket. But you guys are working up to the ages of 16, so anyone between 11 to 16 would be very much eligible, to receive those awards. And you've got the parents involved as well. They'd be very eligible to receive leader awards and the additional things that we do there. Yeah, 11 to 25, we just, that's the bracket with which we'd kind of celebrate young people. That's how we give out the award scheme. And the awards would be kind of given to people within that range only. But, we have people who kind of work, from 18 plus, we work with those. You don't have to be cater to all ages within that range.
And then just to say, when the award is received, however that money is used can benefit anyone.
Yes.
And I do have a great example of that, because a young people's organisation that I'm involved with, the young lady who's just received her achievement award, has decided that a portable pizza oven is the way to spend the money. And so you can imagine we're all very excited, because we're all going to benefit from that. And actually, on a serious note, we've been talking about doing some more social events. We're like, well, this is perfect, because we've got the pizza oven, come and do this with us, and so that's an example where something we would never have put on our budget, because of this, we've been able to do it, and it's generating new ideas for us about how to make use of it. So
absolutely. Yeah, I should just say as well, sorry, I just thought about it there, we accept applications on a rolling basis as well, so there's no time limit, there's no kind of cut-off period for an application. You can make one at any point throughout the year. Summer for us is quite quiet, so if you were to get them in there, we'd probably process them the fastest, but yeah, whenever it suits you guys to make an application, there's no deadline.
Great, thank you. Okay, so I will be sharing Max's presentation. I can do that pretty much straight away. Max's contact details. He has set aside some time in June just to check up on our Croydon groups and see how people are managing. So I'll send you details of that. So really now it's taking a bit of time, having a look at that information, thinking about how it fits for you. I mean, I think some of the organisations who are even still with us here, I think you could make that application right now, and you'd be ready to go with it. Some others you may need to just be in touch with Max about how you deliver your services and that consistency. I think it might be the question there. But certainly a good opportunity for celebrating young people and just drawing in some extra much needed additional funds for those fun parts of our organisations, yes, to make use of. So thank you very much for your time, Max. I'll share everything as soon as I can, and we'll keep in touch, and yeah, let's make the most of that opportunity.
Yeah, thank you very much, Hilary. Thank you everyone for coming along.
Thanks so much. Okay, take care. Bye.
All right.